Hello and welcome to the Fandoms podcast with your host Joe and the man who makes Claptrap seem normal by comparison, Tom. Following me. How we doing, Joe?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, if you're new here, and this is the first time listening, we're all about discussing all the different fandoms, from gaming to Star Wars and everything else. Today, we are talking about March's gaming releases, the latest Star Wars news, which involves all three mediums of gaming, TV, and film, and some new gear from Moza. I finally get to get my sim racing knowledge onto the podcast. Woohoo!
I'm excited, Tom. This is going to be a good month.
So Joe, what have you been playing and watching since the last time we were doing this?
Well, I've been playing Helldivers. It's a small game. It's just a small game. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No. I do hear you love some mines.
Don't start. We're not going into that. Don't bring that up. Don't ruin a good evening, Tom. We ain't got to go there. What else have I been playing? I'm going to move swiftly onwards whilst Tom dies of laughter. It's fine. I've also been playing a lot of Euro Truck. I left my wheel set up for a week, so I was playing it basically every evening for a week.
Yeah, I did notice that. No.
Yeah. I had a fun time. And in terms of watching, I've been watching the Halo series, which makes me want to throw up. And what else have I been watching? I've been watching something else, and it's escaped my mind. Yeah, I can't think now. I'm sure it'll come back to me.
It's probably this game called Empire at War.
Yeah, I mean, I have been playing some of that as well. I've gotten back into it. I'm not doing too bad at the moment, so we won't cut. You're not going to jinx it.
I hope you've been watching Bad Batch, because you didn't mention that. I've been watching that.
Oh yes, I have been.
Honestly, I've been playing. Let's see, Horde of Warships, Le Mans Ultimate, Assetto Corsa Competizione, Helldivers 2, specifically being a deployment mine field specifically for you, Joe. Yeah. Sorry, was I not meant to mention that? Ah, well.
You can go off, people, you know.
Yeah, I think that's basically it. And I've also been playing the OG 2005 Star Wars Battlefront 2. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Okay, alright.
Because, my God, have I got things to say about that.
Oh dear.
So, shall we get ourselves started with the gaming releases for this month?
Tell me what's coming.
So, on the 5th of March, we had Expeditions, a mod game. That is for all platforms, so that's PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, PC. And that's this kind of spin-off game of a spin-off game of a spin-off game. It's a spin-off game of SnowRunner. It's all about kind of exploring, essentially, rather than the kind of hauling. But you still get to drive quite a lot of sort of the big lorries, and there is some scouting involved as well. But, there's probably a bit of both, but it's a completely different play style. And I did want to mention, because some people were worried that the development of SnowRunner might cease, but they have actually said in the first patch for Expeditions, they did mention that they will be basically updating both games at the same time on the same pace, so there's no change for SnowRunner. So because they're two different play styles, one's more cargo and the other one's more focused on exploration, they're two different play styles that they just want to kind of streamline both kind of equally, which I think is quite fair, actually. I'm happy they're doing that.
I'm on board with that.
Yeah, I've had a little go at Expeditions. It's, I'm enjoying it. It's good. I like it. I like the new little gadgets and tech that we're getting. It's very cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to the 6th of March, I have to mention a simulator when the simulator comes out. So Hairdresser Simulator is coming out on Steam on the 6th of March. So that's already been out. It has no interest to me. I just want to mention it because it's a simulator.
Okay.
So if you can't be a hairdresser in real life, there you go. Sorted. Moving on to
my dreams have come true.
Moving on to the 7th of March. We've got Taxi Life, a city driving simulator for PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. This is a game that I've been playing, and it's good, but it needs improvement. It's very kind of... Console players aren't happy because they didn't get wheel support at all at launch.
Oh.
For a driving sim. Yes. It was promised, and then they retracted it probably a month or so before launch, which wasn't actually too bad because everyone has been freaking out thinking that they've removed it at launch. They haven't. They've given people plenty of time to say, actually, we can't. They haven't specifically said why. The community manager has been active in the Discord, basically saying it might be along the lines of some sort of internal decision or the publisher decision, or there was a technical difficulty. We don't know what happened with it, but they were working on it. But they've heard the feedback, and actually the studio didn't think that the wheel support was such a huge deal, but it really, really is. But yeah, it has some bugs and stuff, but it is overall quite fun.
Not gonna lie, even I could have told them that was a big deal, but
yeah,
hey,
because I think they didn't think of how much of the outcry that they had because of specifically because of wheel support at launch. But yeah, moving on to the 8th of March, we've got the WWE 24. So if you like wrestling, you've got a new game for PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. 14th of March, Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection for all platforms. Yes, that includes Switch, Xbox, PC, PlayStation, and Switch. I will be specifically talking about this topic, the first topic that we're going to be discussing today. So, I've got a few things to say about that.
I'm interested to hear, because I know we were excited about that one.
Yes. 20th of March, Alone in the Dark for PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. And that's a survival horror game, so I will be steering well clear, which is set in the Gothic American South, and you control one of two protagonists. You explore environments, fight monsters, solve puzzles, and uncover the true secrets of Decito Manor. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but we're going to go with it.
I mean, I'm no authority. We all know I can't pronounce things correctly, but I would go Decito Manor as well.
21st of March is the Horizon Forbidden West Steam release. I really enjoyed the first game on Steam on PC. And although I've not grabbed it yet, because technically at the time of recording it's not actually out yet, it is in the future, but that'll be something that I might pick up at some point, so that's quite good. Another PlayStation release coming to PC. Sony, please. Gran Turismo 7. Please. It's the only exclusive you're not bringing, because if you didn't know, the what's it called, Ghost of
Tsushima.
Yeah, that one. That's coming to PC in May.
Oh, okay.
If you didn't already know, so that's why I'm saying Sony, please, GT7. Forza Motorsports are terrible. Give us a good subcade, please.
Oh,
also,
they're giving you hope.
Also on the 21st of March, moving on, House Flipper 2 console release for Xbox and PlayStation. We had the House Flipper 2 Steam release in December, I think it was. So that's now been released for console players. On the 22nd of March, we've got Dragon's Dogma 2 for PC, Xbox, PlayStation, which is a single-player, narrative-driven action RPG. We've also got Rise of the Ronin, which is a PlayStation exclusive, which is a combat-focused, open-world RPG based in the 19th century Japan. And finally, for the Switch, we have Princess Peach Showtime, which is an action-adventure game. You're looking confused. Why are you looking confused?
I'll be honest, I was not expecting Princess Peach Showtime. I can't lie to you, my memory of the world of Mario is that she tends to get captured and Mario and Luigi go and save her.
Well, she's got her own game now.
So what is this, her going to get captured?
I actually don't know. All I know is it's an action-adventure game. I felt it was the description of the game was a bit too long to put in the podcast.
Okay.
So, that's what you're getting for the description, an action-adventure game. You're going to have to use Google, unfortunately.
Google for it is.
Alright, first topic, gaming. we're talking about Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection.
Woo!
So this has been developed by Aspyr. They've been known for the recent Tomb Raider Remastered Collection, which was received very well. Now, Aspyr had the easiest win in gaming history to re-release the OG masterpieces with upscaled textures and a working multiplayer.
Perfect game.
But they couldn't even manage that.
Sorry, what?
Yeah. We have the greatest dumpster fire of 2024 thus far. So, what the hell happened? Well, at launch, at UK time, it launched at 5 a.m. Very early for us.
Okay.
3 servers of 64 players. That's 192 players were able to play. And at the time, according to Steam, 10,000 players were playing. And only 192 of you were able to play multiplayer.
They severely underestimated how popular this was going to be, right?
Yeah, just a little bit, but I'll get to that in a second. We also have no ability to squad up. You can't invert flight controls, despite you can do that in the OG version. So if you're doing those OG space battles, down is up is down. And personally, that's something I cannot deal with flight controls. No. Also, the campaign with the 501st journal had missing journals. Mr. Morrison spent his time and effort, blood and sweat and tears doing those voiceovers for them to be removed. And the ones I'm specifically talking about is you have one before a mission, you do the mission, then there's a post one. It's the post-mission ones that are missing, so you get kind of half the journal, effectively.
Oh.
You get some of them, just not all of them. Also, there were more issues in multiplayer. Shots were not hitting or registering in multiplayer, and there were also some audio and other bugs introduced that weren't present in the OG game. Now, this is, I think, mostly the PC and PlayStation sort of experience. It doesn't mean everyone's experienced this, but I think majoritively, from what I've heard, Switch and Xbox players have been pretty smooth.
Okay.
So that's the state of the Classic Collection. So when it launched, it had basically mostly negative reviews. That then upgraded to overwhelmingly negative reviews on Steam. The other day, it then reduced again to mostly negative, so it's got a little bit better.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically on the day or the day after, Aspyr came out with a statement, and this is what they said. I'm quoting this word for word. We'd like to thank the Battlefront community for their overwhelming support and feedback for the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection release. At launch, we experienced critical errors with our network infrastructure. The result was incredible high ping, matchmaking errors, crashes, and servers not appearing in the browser. Since launch, we've been working to address these issues and increase network stability, and we will continue our efforts until our network infrastructure is stabilized to prevent further outages. Please continue to report bugs, errors, or unexpected behaviors to our support team via the request form. So, critical errors within our network infrastructure. What game have I heard that before in? Let me take you back to September. Payday 3 had that exact issue.
I genuinely could not remember what game you were talking about then. But of course, it's bleeding Payday 3.
Yeah, it had the exact same sort of thing. They had a critical error on their servers. And now this has happened again. But to a different studio.
I don't want to be that guy that's like doubting everything a studio says, right? We all know people that do that. But in this instance, I think I'm going to call BS on that. Because that's not network infrastructure issues. That's we don't have enough servers to handle the amount of players. Because no matter how you look at it, I mean, yes, there are obviously server issues there.
Yeah.
But I think the bigger issue here is that you only have 3 servers that can handle a total of 190 people.
I mean, that was the initial reaction. Why have you not put more servers on? But then they brought that out saying it was a critical error. Now, I don't know if that's trying to putting duct tape on a severely leaky issue, or, you know... Like,
what are they saying? Like, their servers shut down, so only had 3 working.
Yeah. Loads of people are not convinced, because this is the studio behind the KOTOR 2 remaster, or whatever it was. If you remember, there were severe issues and they cancelled the DLC. When loads of people were buying it in anticipation for the DLC, they cancelled it. So fans already are not happy about Aspire and Star Wars. And this really, really puts them on edge even more. But the question that I sort of asking myself, because I bought a key from CD Keys, as I would. Okay. It's cheaper than Steam, because I like saving money. And so when it came to Thursday, usually I'm really up and excited. Over those last couple of days, I was quite busy. Usually I'm always looking at CD Keys, because sometimes they might release the key a little bit earlier, just for me to get it in my library, and maybe I can preload it or whatever, so I can just download it. This time I did, and I'm glad. Because I went on Steam and it said overwhelmingly negative and all these kind of things. I was thinking, do I redeem this? I know I'm probably one of those people that might like a game that everybody else hates usually, but this is really putting me on a very unconfirmed path of should I redeem it? Because on one end, if I redeem it, I cannot refund it. If I keep the key unredeemed, I'm eligible for a refund. I'm in the process now of getting it refunded, because I've been burnt by games in the last year that I was excited for, and then they've not been great. And it then created the question, why should I buy this when I have the OG? The OG. And I am holding up my disc version to the camera as of right now. This thing. Why should I buy this over this? Well, the servers, yes. Multiplayer. I reinstalled that, by the way, to prove, first of all, it works. Second of all, about servers. Well, of course the servers don't work, because GameSpy shut down many, many moons ago. For those young people listening and don't know what the hell I'm talking about, GameSpy was the game service for back in the day, 2005, for Star Wars Battlefront. So I can't go online on that one. Steam version of the 2005 one is still up, and you can get online on that. So what have they done to this new game apart from screw up servers and add bugs in that weren't there to begin with? Well, they have actually upscaled the textures to 4K. Now, I do see an issue with that, because you're upscaling 4K textures, which makes them nice, more crisp, which is great, but upscaling is still going to look fairly bad. That's something that's not been, because the 3D models are still going to be the same from 2005. You're just putting fresh new coat of paint on top. Yeah. Honestly, when I've been watching footage, it looks basically the same of what I've got here with my OG one. So I was thinking, well, what's the point? Surely I can just maybe grab the Steam ones individually, because you can still get the individual Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, because remember, this collection collated them both together. But you can get them for cheaper. And I was thinking, well, what's the point? But obviously it's the multiplayer thing, because that's probably what majority of people are going to be going this for. They want to go online and have that nostalgia factor, because I was hyped. I was really hyped, although I have it. You know, I'm sure a lot of people were the same, although, oh my god, because when I knew about it, it was announced part of the Nintendo Direct, so initially I thought, oh no, it's just for the Switch, so that's cool, it's coming to the consoles. And then I was like, oh no, it's coming PC as well. I have to tell everyone about this. So I message you. I message everyone that will be excited about this, because when I'm excited about something, I need to tell somebody. I need to tell somebody.
I totally understand that.
So yeah, I was excited, and then this happened, and it's kind of dropped a kind of sad bomb on me, you know. The good thing is it's coming to consoles. PC, we have the luxury of being able to play these older games, but the fact that it's been converted for the new Xbox, the new PlayStations, and the Switch, that's great for console players. For PC, you're kind of thinking, why? Because this is a re-release. It's not a remaster. It's not a remake. It's technically a remake in the sense that they've upscaled textures, but they've not really done much. But and even not doing much, they've still screwed it up incredibly.
Well, that's the thing. So, I mean, as you're saying, it's a re-release. Yes, it's been upscaled, but realistically, they've not remade anything. They've not made the graphics better. They've not really introduced new content. They've unlocked some extra things that weren't in the original games, sure.
So that you've got Kit Fister, who was an Xbox exclusive, and you've also got Ventress as well, who's now available. Yeah, so so we get those things that we didn't get or didn't necessarily get previously. But realistically, the selling point of this is relaunching the multiplayer experience. Yeah. Because obviously you've now got dedicated servers for it, so on and so forth. But from what we've been talking about there, what you've been saying, they've massively failed in that regard. So, in my mind at least, it begs the question of what is the point? Because I can see from your notes you're going to get onto this in a minute. But we still have the originals that, as you say, are cheaper and have a massive modding scene, which introduces content. I mean, we've talked about modding a lot with other games as well. Yeah. I mean, we talked a lot about it in terms of Empire at War. It extends the life of a game, introduces new content, and most of the time, modding teams now are creating content that is better than what was in the original game. And I mean, I mentioned Empire at War there. Taking that as an example, if you look at the Awakening of the Rebellion mod, they've recreated all the ships and all the units and everything. They look miles better than it was in the base game. And that's a team that's put this together for free. It's going to... I mean, I've dabbled a little bit in mods for Battlefront 2. It's the same for that. You know, you have new character models, you have new maps and stuff that people have put in created that you can put into your game. If you're not worried about the multiplayer aspect, I feel like there's no selling point here. Yeah. I suppose people that maybe don't have the OGs for PC, that's understandable. But you still have the Steam release of those older ones anyway. For console, as I said, I understand because you can't really do that unless it was on Xbox's backwards compatibility program, which I wouldn't think it would be if they're re-releasing it like this. Because this entire announcement blew up in the Star Wars gaming community because we were like, this has got hype for the OG Battlefronts again. Yeah. And loads of us are thinking, yes, we can replay this, we can go on with our friends, and just, But also, what they've missed a trick here is also, you have to do the OG way of joining with friends, of finding a server that you can both see on your browser scrolling through and to join at the same time and hope you're on the same team. But obviously, a feature that I didn't actually use because back then I honestly, when I play this for the first time, I was just doing the single player stuff. I was doing the Galactic Conquest, Instant Action, and the 501st kind of journal campaign. Yeah. It's got another program with it that you can install called Xfire. Now, Xfire was the program where you could basically add friends, and that's how you would join through that. As I said, I've never actually used it, but it popped up as something to install when I was putting the disc in for this the other day. Yeah, it was, yeah. And as you say about the mods, like, they've done a better job, and it just makes me think that, and it does reinforce that point that loads of people have been making, this just seems like a cash grab more for PC than anywhere else. Because also, it was February, was it, that they did Tomb Raider Remastered? This is the same studio, and something makes me think, wait a minute, as a really small team that didn't work on the Tomb Raider Remastered, just been working on this in the background and thought, okay, it's basically ready, let's whack it out. Just like that, and not really put any effort in. I would have loved to see, not a remaster, a complete remake of this game. And I think they should have, because honestly, can you imagine this game, but completely remodeled for 2024? That would be incredible. But they've missed a trick, and honestly, it is the easiest money they could have spent if they got everything right.
Yeah,
I'm no expert in game development. I know this sort of stuff and upscaling does take effort, but the game's already made for you. All you have to do is re-release it, make sure it's compatible with consoles, make sure it works with modern controls, have functional multiplayer, and you've got a banger that everyone's going to love. But you failed to do that.
Yeah, it feels like they're trying to cash in on people's nostalgia.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that only works for so long. People tend to realise what's going on, and it ends up biting people in the backside.
Yeah.
I think that's the way... well, at the moment, it certainly seems like that's the way it's going to go. In all fairness, you know, we all know I like to play devil's advocate a little bit.
Yeah.
In all fairness, you know, they may look at this and go, God, we've really missed the mark here. Like, we got this wrong. And they may now work to fix these things. And it may be that in a couple of months' time, or however long it takes, it may be that we end up seeing a very good game come out of this. You know, they fix the networking issues, they fix the servers so you can fit more people on, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
You know, and then we go, oh, blimey, all right, maybe they just released it a bit too early. But as much as I'm playing devil's advocate here, the problem always with this, and with issues like this in other games as well, is that initial release is so important.
Because now this game is scarred now.
Yeah.
Permanently.
Yeah.
Especially those Steam reviews. Those mostly negative Steam reviews is not going to be easy to get them back up to positive.
Not just that, though,
as it's gone to overwhelming.
That's the thing, though. It's not just the reviews. It just colours people's opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily go and look at reviews. I don't place reviews on games. But I do hear what people are saying within the communities. I do form my own opinions based on my experiences with games. And if I have a bad experience, I'm not very likely to go back to it. Even if they fix it later on down the line, or fix those issues that there were at the time, I'm not likely to go back to it because I was hurt in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, I got burned, and I went, no, I don't want to go back to that now. And that's my concern. That's always my concern with situations like this. What we're seeing now with Battlefront 2 is if you fail on that initial release, you'll never recover what you lost completely.
Yeah.
You know, yes, you might have players come back to it. There are some people, certainly more forgiving than I, that will go, do you know what, they fixed things, we'll go and enjoy this now. But there are a lot of people out there, like myself, who were hurt by it in the first place, were burned by it, and went, no, I'm not doing that. Don't want to play it now. Actually, a very good example that comes to my mind is Cyberpunk.
I was going to mention that because actually Cyberpunk has probably the biggest, is one of those games that had the biggest sort of comeback as well.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of people out there that go, no, they messed up in the first place, I don't want to now.
Yeah, I mean, I was like that also with, although I haven't played this game, No Man's Sky as well is the same. The gaming community does not forget, and I mean when they forget, is it's stereotypical. I thought that game was still absolutely rubbish. But apparently it's very good now. They've completely, done a complete U-turn, and that game's now thriving. But I feel that this Classic Collection is a slightly different situation because it's a re-release. Because they're not making the game from scratch, so it's a little different to if it was an original game being produced by them.
You're absolutely right. Cyberpunk and No Man's Sky, both of them have the benefit of going, okay, that wasn't great. We can fix the issues and we can put in some new content that you guys are going to love.
Yeah.
And that's obviously what they've done. But you're right, with Battlefront 2, I mean, they could make new content, but if they haven't even got these things right in the first place, are they really going to do that for, I mean, it may have just been released, but effectively a game that is, what, over a decade old?
Yeah.
I wouldn't put money on it. You know, I don't think they're going to be making new content. They're not going to be making new maps and stuff. I think, again, that's going to be down to the community to make that.
Yeah.
But I think they will continue making it for the original rather than the new one. Because if it's no different, what's the point? Everyone's still already got the old one.
Yeah.
And didn't you say it was cheaper on Steam at the moment?
Yeah, they're roughly £8 each. So, and they're selling it for £28, £28 is the Classic Collection, I think. Roughly.
So yeah, why? Oh yeah, I've just had a look. Yeah, £8.50 each for Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
And the Classic Collection is $29.33. So why would you go out and buy it? Just
yeah, and it's I mean, I'm refunding it for now. If it gets better, then maybe sure down the line. But you know, there's always the other Steam version to go back onto. And it was a shame because I never played the original Battlefront. I only played 2, so I would have loved to just play number 1 as well. But obviously 2 is probably the more popular title, I feel, most definitely. Now, I do want to talk about one of those mods that we've sort of kind of not really mentioned by name yet. And it's funny because before this came out, what was interesting was a YouTube recommendation that came onto my feed, and it was of the Star Wars Battlefront 2 remaster mod. And up to this point, I had no clue this had existed until very recently. And I looked into this and I thought, oh my god, this looks incredible. And I'm just going to rattle off some points. Now, these points are more to do with the latest update that they've introduced, which was more Clone Wars focused. So they've got HD 2K planets and backgrounds, new high quality capital ships, Coruscant campaign mission with possibly assault mode. You've got Space Mustafar campaign mission. You've got Space Kashif, Space Magito, Space Volusia. Volusia,
yeah.
Words, names, I can't get them right. If you're listening on Spotify, you won't be able to see this, but I will be probably popping some of the screenshots of the remastered mod for those people on YouTube, because they do look really good in comparison to what you're sort of used to when you're playing. Like, they've done a really great job on everything, and they've got some videos. Just watch even the latest video, and it's, you know, the UI, the character models look so clean and nice. They don't look like 2024 graphics, sure, but they look more like a 2005 game with 2010 graphics, I would say, than anything else.
Yeah,
and it looks clean and nice.
I was going to say, I think you have to remember when looking at these things, this is still a game that is nearly 20 years old.
Yeah.
You know, there are limitations on what the engine itself probably can handle. So, you know, when you think of it from that perspective, even the improvements that they have made, I mean, I'm looking at the screenshots that you've shared. I might have seen this before a couple of years ago, actually, but seeing the improvements, it is a massive leap over what we got in the base game.
And if I remember correctly, the latest update was of January this year. So they're still updating it to this very day. That decade-old, or over a decade-old game.
Interestingly, I think that also shows the love there is for this game.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that there is a team that is dedicated to working on this, to continuing to produce high-quality content, to improve the game, to make it appealing to people after all this time, speaks volumes. And again, looping back to the point, shows just how much Aspyr have missed the mark here.
And it's also sort of proof that ever since the OGs came out, anything Battlefront related has always been tainted or cursed. Ever since, EA touched it and all this kind of stuff. Oh, by the way, to the people that are blaming EA, this has nothing to do with EA. People are actually blaming EA for this.
Really?
But EA do not have the rights. They have the rights to the name to reboot it. They do not have the rights to the OG. I've seen a lot of people online saying, "Oh yeah, this is EA's fault." You're directing your hate at the wrong place. I know they didn't do a great job, but still,
I don't like EA Front. I've not been shy about this. I've been very open about it. I think I've been open about it on the podcast as well.
Yes, you have. Yeah.
I don't like EA Front, and that was purely because they used the Battlefront name, and it just wasn't. I was expecting a continuation of these games. But even I know EA has nothing to do with this remaster. My dislike of EA Front aside, has nothing to do with this. But this is...
Although EA's version of number 2 did get better at the end of its life cycle, which was a shame, but also, do I dare mention Star Wars Battlefront 3 that failed on both the OG and the EA reboot as well?
Don't even go there.
Because that's also the cursed aspect as well. It seems that anything, or majoritively Star Wars games as of recent are very much cursed, which actually, although is an unrelated sort of point, I do have to mention in the last podcast we discussed about the Mandalorian game from Respawn. Now, I just want to quickly touch on this because we got really hyped and excited for that.
Yeah.
Now, when the podcast came out, on the very day it came out, EA announced layoffs and they cancelled that very game. And I messaged you, didn't I? And I said, this is terrible timing. We've just come out with a podcast praising this very idea of what it could potentially be, and now we will never see it in public hands. And what I've seen from the information, the quotes that I sent you, it was very good. It was very well received from the internal testing, and it's a shame no one's going to see it.
So on that point, if any industry insiders want to keep us up to date on what's coming so we can make sure that our podcast is factually correct, then you can reach us through any of our social media channels. Otherwise, we'll continue to talk about the things that we're excited about whilst you cancel them around us. We'll stand in the ashes of your destruction whilst we cry about the things that we've lost.
On a more happier note, BitReactor were not affected by the layoffs, so whatever upcoming Star Wars RTS is coming is safe.
That's good. Yeah. Sorry, I don't have a Warhammer rant, so I had to rant about something.
Yeah, that's fine.
I feel better now.
Yeah, cool. I think that's the Star Wars Battlefront and Star Wars gaming aspect. Because you want to talk about Star Wars in a different media, TV and film.
I do. I'm very excited. So I'm going to start off with some film news. And this is something that we haven't heard much about for quite a while, actually. Do you know what? I don't remember when this was first announced. But this was a while ago. In fact, I think this might have been around about the time that episode 7 came out.
Potentially. It was
Yeah,
a
I
long
think
time ago.
Yeah,
far away.
around about the time that Disney picked up. I just realised what you did there. Around about the time that Disney picked up Star Wars and obviously started their production, they created. I can't even think of what it was called now. Episode 7. I've blanked it out because it was
The last
terrible. One. No. The start of the sequel trilogy.
Force Awakens.
That's the one. Force Awakens. I pretend they don't exist. It makes me happier. Yeah, around about the time when the Force Awakens came out, shortly afterwards, they announced they were going to work on a number of projects. Tom, you may remember one of these projects was Rogue Squadron.
Yes. I was very upset when they basically said it wasn't happening.
Yeah, so they obviously announced Rogue Squadron alongside a number of other projects. Some of those have come out. I think The Acolyte is one of those that they announced at that time and is coming out soon.
This year, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, The Acolyte is coming soon. Again, that was announced all that way back. God, that was probably about 10 years ago now. But then we didn't really get much news on Rogue Squadron. And the last we heard, I think it was reported back sometime last year, that it had basically been shelved. Production had stopped. They weren't really looking into it. They just kind of, as I say, not cancelled it. They never said they cancelled it, but it was shelved. It was, the idea was put to one side, and that was it.
The director, Patty Jenkins,
Yes.
This is where this has come from. That she's basically announced recently that she's back working on it. She had to move away because of Wonder Woman 3, so that's what she was working on.
Yes.
And that was the reason. But now she's finished that, and she's sort of kind of come back for it now.
Yeah, so you're right. It was in relation to her working on Wonder Woman 3. This has come out recently, sort of since that.
Yeah.
Turns out Patty Jenkins actually made a deal with Disney that she would come back. Once she was done with Wonder Woman 3, she would come back to continue work on Rogue Squadron. So, yes, it was shelved, but they didn't forget about it. And the news that's come out now, I think it was actually shared quite appropriately in a podcast.
Yeah, it was.
That she was going to start working on it again. The deal has been worked on during the writers' strike, and they came to an agreement, I think, towards the end of that. And the idea is that now she's going to start working on writing this film. I'll read some of what was said. I think, Tom, you put these down. I think you took these from the podcast, didn't you?
Well, this was an article based from the podcast, but these quotes are actually directly from the podcast, yeah.
So basically what Patty Jenkins has said was, when I left Star Wars to do Wonder Woman 3 and I started working on that, we talked about, well, maybe I'll come back to Star Wars after Wonder Woman 3. So we started a deal for that to happen. So that's what we said just there. When Wonder Woman 3 then went away, Lucasfilm and I were like, oh, we've got to finish this deal. We finished the deal right as the strike was beginning, so I now owe a draft of Star Wars. There you go. Corrected myself, I said at the end, it was at the start. And then she's gone on to say they have a hard job in front of them of what's the first movie they're going to do. Then she added, they have other directors who have been working, but I am now back on doing Rogue Squadron. We'll see what happens. We need to get it to where we're both super happy with it. So it sounds like they're still very early. Early stages.
Yeah.
But the good news that we can take from this is that they are working on it. Patty is working on a script. I mean, I have no idea what the timescale is, so this could be a couple of years away still. At least, maybe even longer.
Yeah.
But they're working on Rogue Squadron. I know from talking to people at the time, a lot of people were excited about the idea of a Rogue Squadron movie.
Yeah, because they were basically saying, oh, it's basically almost like a Top Gun, but it's Star Wars and in basically with like, X-wings and stuff, which would be really, really cool.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm going to kind of mention a little bit of Star Citizen here, because one of the Star Citizen sort of cinematics, when they unveiled the RSI Scorpius, which, as you know, is the sort of X-wing version of Star Citizen. When they announced that, they had this hangar sequence, almost like, you know, that sort of sequence where you have a regular sort of fighter jet launching from an aircraft carrier. So it was similar to that, but it was in a space station hangar shooting out. And I thought, oh my god, that is so cool. And honestly, I can imagine a scene like that in Rogue Squadron, and I'm thinking, I want to see that, but I want to see more of that.
Yeah.
More, please.
Yeah.
But
no, I mean, I agree with you. I like the idea of a Rogue Squadron movie. It depends on whether they'll draw from some of the non-canon now extended universe, because I know that Rogue Squadron was a thing there, or if they'll go in a different direction. I mean, it's too early for us to know anything really, but it'll be interesting to see where they take that and what they do with it. As I say, I know a lot of people were excited, so I'm quite excited to see what comes out about this and what we hear over the next sort of few years.
I love the quote about the end of the quote where she says, I basically owe Lucasfilm a draft of Star Wars.
Oh,
I love that.
Like, no, it's great. She signed on. She went, yeah, no, let's do this. Oh, right, that other stuff is out of the way. Let's crack on.
Yeah.
Like, I love it. Good. It's good. I have some more media-related news. This time more on the TV side. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi and Andor. Both fantastic series.
Mm-hmm.
There's too many S's in there. They're both getting a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray and Blu-ray release on the 30th of April. That is the US. I imagine it will be similar over here, but I don't know yet.
Pre-order for Amazon is for the 10th of June.
Oh, is that for us?
Yes. So for UK, yeah. As usual, we are behind the US.
Oh, that's quite a ways behind as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I double-checked this before we started making this podcast. That is as of recent searches on Amazon.
Wow. Sorry, that's a month and a half. That's mad. Okay, well, there you go. There's your release dates. Keep an eye out if you're interested. The other thing that we've got here as well is that both will feature a premium steelbook packaging and come packed with new bonus features as well as exclusive concept art cards.
Which kind of explains why these are roughly £50 each.
Yeah, I mean, it's a collector's item. We know collector's items are more expensive.
Yeah.
It's kind of to be expected, especially when you get something fancy like a steelbook edition.
Like when I had a look at it on Amazon, I was like, I just briefly looked at it, not thinking about the steelbook and stuff, and I'm thinking, £50? That's a lot. I know Blu-rays are a little bit more expensive than the regular DVDs anyway, but like, wow, £50, and then I realised, oh yeah, it's got all the steelbook and stuff with it, so that's understandable.
Yeah, it's the extras that are bumping up. I mean, it still seems a little bit expensive, but yeah, it's for all those extras.
And it's a great opportunity if you don't have or haven't had Disney Plus and you want to watch these. Great opportunity for you to watch it. I do hope they have a non-steelbook version. That would be good for those people that just want to watch it.
So this is what I'm wondering about. Usually, you know, if they're calling it a premium steelbook packaging and things like that, usually that means it's going to be on a limited basis. And that's a thought that came to mind, is are they specifically earmarking part of this for the UK market? Because otherwise, and you know, as I say, a month and a half or a little over a month, that could very easily sell out in that time. Have they put aside X amount of stock to sell on or to sell in the UK, so that they continue to have some for the 10th of June?
As of right now, you can actually pre-order it from Amazon, so you could basically have Amazon save a copy, and then when it releases, you get it. Whether it will run out of stock, we don't know. It's not out of stock at the moment. But that could change very easily. Yeah,
it's just one of those questions that, you know, I think of randomly. I'm sure we've all worked.
I do want to maybe see a regular DVD version or even a regular Blu-ray version without all the extras. Because some people might be thinking, I want to watch it, but I don't want to fork out 50 quid for it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing as well. That's a very collector's item.
Yeah.
You know, you're buying that to add it to a collection rather than to watch it.
Although we're in 2024, not everyone will have a Blu-ray player.
That is also true.
It's something my family has never really had. We've always stuck with the regular good old DVDs and never really had anything that would be Blu-ray. The only Blu-ray player in this household is my PlayStation 5.
You know what? It's exactly the same for me. My Xbox One is the Blu-ray player. Other than that, everything else is on DVD.
Yeah. So I imagine there'll be a lot of people that still are on DVDs, and it'll be because when I had a quick look, I found the Blu-ray version, but I didn't see a regular DVD, and I'm wondering if they will do a regular or if this is going to be it. Because they might argue saying, well, actually, you can just watch it regularly on Disney Plus.
I would be very surprised if they didn't do a regular DVD version. But yeah, I guess I hadn't thought of that. They might direct people towards Disney Plus. It all comes down to the argument of physical versus digital media, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there who still prefer physical media. Especially when we see, I mean, don't see this so much with Disney, but certainly with Netflix, a lot of their shows tend to disappear off of Netflix after so long. But now, also, I know a lot of it comes down to licensing issues and so on and so forth.
Also, Disney Plus has gone up in price, so lots of people have been cancelling and stuff.
Yes.
I don't know if you know, yearly, not monthly, yearly, if you pay yearly on Disney Plus. When it launched in the UK, it was roughly £60.
Right, yeah.
It is now over £100 a year.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I've not noticed that. I mean, unfortunately, I've just accepted that I have to lump it because I need Star Wars. I need it. You can inject Star Wars content directly into my veins and it won't be enough. I need it, so I've accepted that cost is a part of my life.
And that
is a lot of money.
Yeah, some people just don't like subscriptions either. They like having physical media.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, certainly if you'd asked me a few years ago, I would much rather just pay up front and know I own it than have to pay a subscription. I've changed a little bit in that sense, but no, I certainly understand where people are coming from with that opinion. Especially in this day and age, the cost is one to really consider.
Yeah. Plus, you don't need an internet connection for it. Well, hey.
That is true. Yeah, you can watch it anywhere. Tom, that's all I've got to discuss on that front. I'm going to hand back over to you because I know you've got a bit more to talk about now as well.
Yeah, so out of the two of us, I'm probably the more informative one when it comes to sim racing in general, the sim racing community, the sim racing equipment. And this is why I wanted to talk about Moza's exciting new reveals, new gear. And it also means I get to finally talk about sim racing on the podcast, which I've been waiting for a very long time.
I don't know why you think you're more knowledgeable about sim racing. That's clearly me. Clearly me. Don't know what he's on about, guys.
Okay. So, Moza are known for, obviously, sim racing gear. They obviously rival the likes of Fanatec, Logitech, Thrustmaster, all those brands. They've recently done something a bit different. They've revealed a trucking wheel, the TSW for their Moza lineup. Now, this is sort of a first in the sim racing community because no one's really done this. Now, we know you can get sort of trucking wheels for some rigs, but it's like, it's a little bit unofficial. This is an official brand for their official wheelbases and bundles.
Well,
first.
Sorry to jump in. I think it's also worth mentioning some of the truck wheels out there are, I would argue, more geared towards the American truck sim market.
Yes.
Because they tend to be... I'm trying to think of the way to describe it. Basically, you know, a metal centre with spokes out to hold, you know, a very simple wheel. There's no buttons on it. There's nothing you can do. It is literally just because
it looks like it seems like it's been produced for an actual truck, but it's been converted to have on that quick release function and adapter onto one of the big, you know, more expensive DD wheelbases. A content creator that comes to mind for me is Jeff Favignano. He has this is on his rig, and this is how I knew about the fact that these American and other things were happening. I thought, oh, that's really cool. But you're right, actually, in terms of the style, which I didn't think of, which was, this is a European wheel or type wheel that we would have in the UK or in Europe versus the US. That's not to say that you can't use it with ATS, because you absolutely can. But yeah, I think
it's just
it is more
in terms of styling.
Yeah, we haven't really seen this at all non-stop. So just to go through the specs, this is a 400mm diameter wheel. This is big. 400mm. Now, if you don't know, racing wheels are half of that, or even less. It's tiny compared to this, but this is a truck wheel. Of course, it's going to be a bit bigger. And
I've just got a tape measure out. Just because
I wondered what you were doing. I thought, wait a minute, I've mentioned a dimension. He's going to try and show you all.
I couldn't visualize how big this tape measure is. Really bad because it is currently winding itself back in.
Yeah, I was going to say that wheel's getting a bit small there, Joe.
I'm not touching. It's winding itself back in. Anyway, this is my tape measure I use for playing Warhammer. I was just trying to visualize it because I couldn't think about how big 40 centimeters is. Try and hold it in place, right? Against my face, it is rather large. I mean, I'm not quite as large as my screen, but like that's a big wheel. That is a big wheel.
Because that's the diameter.
Yeah.
Remember, it has to go around a circle as well.
Yeah, that like, wait, I just. I didn't realise how big this wheel was going to be.
Oh yeah, this is a proper, authentic sort of trucking wheel. I
want one.
Yeah.
I'm going to sell my soul for one of these.
So the wheel rim is made out of aerospace grade aluminium. It's got a polymer composite hob and spoke casing. It has 14 buttons, 2 aluminium thumb wheels, and two ultra thin joysticks as well. It's also got a customizable RPM LED light in the Pithouse software, which is Moza's own software, with 16.7 million colors. Obviously, the sort of RPM thing is just there as more of a sim racing touch than anything else, but I suppose it's nice to be there because it is a bit more of a game sort of thing. That sort of thing. And there is obviously the noticeably absence of paddle shifters, which is understandable. It's not a racing wheel. This is a trucking wheel. But yeah, it's compatible with all current Moza wheels and works with third-party bases with a Moza hub. So that's the universal sort of adapter that has 3 50mm and 6 70mm threaded hole patterns and can be mounted onto 2 different third-party wheelbases. Although it's not clear what those wheelbases actually are. I suppose if it's compatible with those sort of threaded holes that I've just mentioned, then it would be compatible.
I feel like if they're making this adapter, they're going to look at what's the most common out there.
Yeah, I mean, this universal hub has been out for a while, because it has been there to sort of streamline stuff, because Moza has all these sort of accessories that you can attach. They've essentially made it so all these accessories go into the hub, so all you're using is one USB into your computer, which is quite clever. But it can also be that sort of, they've called it open ecosystem, so their ecosystem isn't restricted to just the Moza stuff. It's, expands to everything else. Now again, YouTube people, you'll be seeing images of this on screen. So there's sort of two pieces to this. There's the actual rim, and then there's the truck clamp. And you're probably thinking, well, what's so special about the truck clamp? Is it not like a regular clamp? No, because it actually rotates upwards and downwards like a real sort of trucking rim, because obviously a trucking rim is a bit more upright. It's not completely upright. It's a little bit more elevated for turning versus a racing wheel, which is completely kind of centered to you. It's a completely different sort of angle that it's at, which I think is cool and something that they've thought about. They've thought, okay, how can we make this as authentic as possible by getting the angle right? And because this angle adjusts, if you want to go racing again, you can just adjust it all the way back again, which I think is cool. Obviously, it's not a thing that you have to have because it's an addition. It doesn't come with it. You've got to spend extra for it. But yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I've just realised. So we were talking about this clamp the other day.
Yeah.
I've only seen it in the, let's say, upright position. I'm just looking at the picture you've put in our notes, and it does actually fold down, so it sits.
Yeah, I thought you were aware of this.
I wasn't. No.
Yeah.
So now in my mind, because I've watched truck videos. I like to see how the real things work because I like a bit of trucking. And I've seen they pull up at, their drop-off point or whatever, put a lever underneath and move the wheel up. I'm now seeing the exact same thing sitting at my desk. Pull it and it moves up.
Yeah.
Now I want it. I was saying the other day I didn't want it. Now I do.
Yeah.
It's just my experience.
Yeah, I remember that, and I was trying to figure out in my head when we were discussing that the other day, thinking, why don't you want it? Because it does move the angle upwards, but I didn't realize at the time you didn't understand that that's what it could do.
Oh, Tom, this just means I've got to spend more money.
Talking of money, let's tell the people how much this thing is. The rim.
Just for context, my wallet already hurts. My wallet is crying out in pain because I'm trying to find ways to pay for this, including selling organs. I am so ready to own this thing.
The rim on this alone, you get nothing else with it. Just the rim. And some stickers you can put on, actually.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, stickers is what's going to sell me on it.
Is £299. It's a £300 wheel. Now, this is not unusual sort of price range in the sim racing community. We know rims can be incredibly expensive on their own. But I feel that this is way too much for a trucking wheel.
Oh, it's just the wheel. You don't get the base, you don't get pedals, you get nothing but the rim.
Because, the really expensive, say, GT or F1 style rims that you get from all these more expensive brands, or even Moza, have all these.
Moza do one, don't they?
Yeah, have all these sort of buttons and switches that's authentic, or as authentic as it can be to the real life race car, because they have so many buttons and switches and things to sort of control, and they want to make a really high quality product because that goes into the price, the materials that goes into it. But I feel for a trucking wheel, because Moza are appealing to a brand new audience here. They're not just sim racers now. There are truck simmers out there that they're trying to appeal to that no one else is doing, which is why I love the fact that Moza are doing this, because they are probably my favourite. Although I last year upgraded from my Logitech to my Thrustmaster due to how much money I could afford at that time, Moza over the last few years has won me over of being my favourite wheel manufacturer for sim racing, because their wheels look incredibly nice. So even, you know, the R5 bundle where you get the default D-rim, it looks great. I can tell Joe's looking at the website because his face is lit up like the sun.
Yeah, I'm currently being lit up by the sun itself. I'm just...
But yeah, they are my favourite because of that, and they're saying, how can we approach a brand new audience? Because I remember me telling you about this. There was this concept rim for a truck last year at a Sim Expo, and I told you about it, and I said, I bet you that's not just there for show. They're going to make that. And now we are here a few months later talking about the actual thing, which you can get right now. Now, I talked about the truck.
I also remember us having that conversation and me saying that I would sell my soul for that wheel.
Yeah, and that's not changed.
Here I am trying to sell my soul for that wheel. So if you'd like to support me, there will be links down below. I'll do anything for money. I need to own it. This is an appeal. This is the Fun Joe's wheel appeal. Sorry, Tom. I'm done selling myself.
Yeah. So the truck clamp, as I said, is sold separately. I don't think it should be. I think they should do two bundles, one with just the rim and one with the rim and the truck clamp. It's £39. So if you bundle those two together, that's 338 quid. Now, if you are like Joe and don't have a Moza wheelbase and want to have the R5 bundle, which is the cheapest bundle you can get right now, it totals to £797. Yep. And by the way, you basically get another clamp with that, because in the bundle you get the clamp for the regular racing wheel as well.
That's fine. I can sell that.
I know you don't care about that, but yeah. But that doesn't even include this amazing new accessory that they have announced that's coming with it. They are adding the indicator stalks for the lights and the indicators and all that kind of stuff as an add-on that will place itself over the wheelbase. Brilliant. Love it. Probably going to be like... Joe needs a new... Joe needs a new wallet, man. Not to mention, I want this as well. It's not just him that wants this. I want this too. And
but I have...
In my mind, it's going to be really weird you upgrading to a direct drive wheel before I am.
Yeah, no, Tom,
That's ridiculous.
I have to own it before you do.
As context, I'm the one that sim races basically every week without fail. This boy,
near enough every day, most weeks.
Yes, every day almost, yeah. This man over here, he trucks once a week. That's all he does. He's getting a direct drive wheel. He has no idea what that thing is capable of. The detail he's going to get.
I have no idea how I'm going to set it up either. This is going to be a great experience. I should add, I don't have the money for it. I don't know where I'm going to find the money for it. But I will own that thing. I will own it before the year is out.
Now, some of you more people that might not know much about sim racing wheels, you might think that is really a lot of money for this. But if we take 6, 7, maybe 10 years ago, the likes of Moza and Fanatec and all that kind of stuff didn't really... not really exist in this market, and we had people like Sim Magic or Simicube, and they're in the thousands and thousands. Some of them are 2,000 or 3,000. But what I'm trying to say is, as of the recent market for a direct drive wheel, it is so much more affordable than what it used to be. Sure, I'm not saying it's cheap. It's still expensive. That's why these budget wheels from Thrustmaster or Logitech that are 200 to maybe the 300 to 350 mark are so popular, because they are those entry-level wheels, but they don't have the sort of direct driveness. Very technical term there.
Direct driveness.
Yeah, and also if you're confused with what the difference is, so Joe has a Logitech G27, which is basically like my old G920. And
Brilliant, Will.
That has what's called a gear-driven drive. So the force feedback goes through the gears before it goes through the actual force feedback and motors sort of thing. And that's how it gets driven. And that's why when you turn it, it's quite loud, relatively. It's quite noisy, especially when it does its synchronized startup where it spins.
Oh, God, yeah.
It is quite loud. Then you've got my sort of wheel. The Thrustmaster T300 has what's called belt driven. So instead of gears, it's a belt, which means it's a little bit quieter, a little bit more smoother. And then you've got direct drive. So a direct drive is exactly how it sounds. The motor inside is directly driven by your rim, which is why they're usually a lot more powerful. And when I mean power, I'm talking Newton meters. So, Joe, you have roughly 1 to 2 Newton meters.
Okay.
Approximately. I have a tiny bit more. I've got maybe 3, possibly 4, that sort of range with the belt driven. Direct drives can range from 5, 6 to 10, 20 Newton meters, or even more. So you sort of understand the sort of power that these have. Now, these have historically broken arms and broken sort of fingers, dislocated them.
Hang on. Tom, this doesn't sound safe.
Yeah, I just thought I'd mention it. Not to put you off, but this is a rare occurrence. It sometimes does happen, but it's because of this sheer power that they have. It is safe, otherwise they wouldn't be selling them. Your reaction to this is gold.
All I'm saying, and I'm not saying much here, but all I'm saying is I don't see how that passed any kind of safety thing. Sounds like a health and safety field.
So this is only if the wheel sort of snaps and stuff. So there was a viral in the sim racing community clip not too long ago about UKOG. Now he is probably one of the fastest UK boys in sim racing. And somebody at the start of the race in ACC decided to ram the rear of him. And unfortunately, at the start line, more of a sort of funny, oh yeah, let's rear around the streamer sort of thing, I think. For the memes. That, unfortunately, and this happens when it's a crash, and when you look at people that use direct drive wheels, they actually take their hands off if they're about to crash. And that is for a reason. It's a safety reason, actually, because the wheel is most likely is going to snap really quickly. But yeah, UKOG, because of that rear end, actually broke and dislocated, I think it was his thumb, so he had to go to the hospital.
Good lord.
Yeah. So these ain't toys, ladies and gentlemen. These are the serious deal. I'm not trying to put people off, but it's just something that I suppose needs to be aware of. And this sort of thing is a rare occurrence. You see streamers, driving with them all the time. They're completely fine. And as long as you're aware of what it can do, it doesn't mean it will happen. Is all I'm saying. I know you're not convinced, but
I'm pressing X to doubt.
So that's kind of the power that they have.
I still want one.
They're serious things. Yeah, this wasn't a ploy to prevent you getting one, by the way.
I still want one.
Yeah,
guys,
yeah, I know
don't
you
worry.
do. I know you do.
I'm still going to own one before Tom does.
In which case, jealousy will commence. And if suddenly there are reports down south of theft, it wasn't me.
Thievery afoot.
Theft of a motor wheel, and I suddenly get one on the same day. It wasn't me.
I'm just going to refer back to the stream. Sorry, if you weren't in the stream, you won't understand the reference. But Tom, am I also going to be losing this at the same time?
You might do, yeah.
Thievery afoot.
For those people that are listening, not watching, he's just shown his Lego mini Ahsoka. Because when I checked, they were all out of stock.
And then he immediately proceeded to tell me he was going to steal mine.
Yeah, I did.
Thievery.
Yeah. But yeah, that's basically Moza's new toy. Or not a toy, actually. But yeah.
Nah, that's a toy.
I honestly love what Moza do, and it looks incredible, and I want one. Not to mention, by the way, what I did mention is the buttons are actually already pre-programmed because they have the sort of icons for stuff that you'd have in the sort of the Euro truck and stuff. Things like your indicators and your lights and all that kind of stuff. So that's all on there. For you. Obviously, all these are all 100% configurable. You can completely change them if you want to, but it's really cool that they've accommodated for the trucking community because no one else has.
It's basically set up to go straight out of the box.
Yeah, basically,
which is really nice.
Because obviously it has
really,
the
really nice.
quick release sort of adapter that you can just go plonk on and plonk off, which is good if you want to take it off and put a racing wheel on to race. You could do that with really, really good ease, which is great.
I mean, I'll probably use this for the sim racing as well because I'm probably gonna have to get the R5 bundle when I pick up one of these.
Yeah, so you'll have another rim anyway.
Yeah, so I'll be popping off and swapping between the two. But my God,
yeah,
I have to own it. I have to own it. This is a real shut up and take my money moment.
Yeah.
Don't
get me wrong, I love my tech, but this is groundbreaking. This is great. I love it.
I've never wanted something so much in my life.
And I think on that sim racing bombshell, it's time for us to wrap up, I think. So, we're gonna go through our usual. Thank you very much for watching and listening to us blab on about Moza and about Star Wars and gaming releases and all that kind of stuff. It's been very Star Warsy today, hasn't it?
It has.
So, our next podcast is going to be on the 24th of April, and don't forget to follow or give us a rating and review on the podcasting platform of your choice, whatever that may be. Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, whatever it is. And if you want to stay up to date on the latest with us, you can follow our socials. So, Fandom's Edge can be found on YouTube. We can be found on Instagram. But there's also our personal socials as well. So, me and Joe can be found on Discord, Twitter, YouTube, and on Twitch. All those links are in the description. And those usernames would be Maverick RNG for me and FamilarForce for Joe. And we will see you in the next one.
On the Fandom's Edge.